everyone, and welcome back to Conversations with BC Hepatitis Network. My name is Carrie, and I am once again joined by Daryl, but today, Daryl is not my co-host, Daryl is our guest. Welcome, Daryl.
Thanks, Carrie. Great to be here.
So, I think as usual, we will start off by getting you to introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, Daryl Luster. I am the peer programs lead with BC Hepatitis Network, formerly Pacific Hepatitis C Network, and I wear a number of hats as well, both here at home with BC Hepatitis Network, but in a number of committees and groups throughout the country. As many of you will know, my work has been inspired mostly from my own experience, but in large part from the experiences of others, and in trying to help others, essentially, and in whatever form that takes.
Excellent. So you've kind of foreshadowed into this a bit, but our next question is, what brought you to the work that you do?
My own lived experience. I had lived with hepatitis C for a long time. I'm not sure how long, but probably decades, and unaware that I had Hep C. And it was quite by accident that I was tested and found to be positive for hepatitis C. And it was my experience in that, as I learned more, that really inspired me to get involved in trying to affect change that helped other people.
So what was the kind of first foray that you had into doing Hep C work out of your personal experience?
Well, I guess initially was learning about it, and how I did that was mostly in community, spending time particularly online in forums. Forums were really popular back then, and less so today. I mean, there are other ways that forums are attained, with social media now, like Facebook and others, but yeah, very little face-to-face contact. It was even then and now as well, difficult to form groups, peer groups, and to sustain them, keep them going. But yeah, I learned a ton of stuff from people that had experienced themselves in this, and with no bias or stigma. We were just all in this together, and that was a really wonderful experience that helped me a lot. It took away a lot of the fears that I had, and it helped me to learn, and reading, of course, and participating in different things. And the first big thing I did was through social media, where I was successful at organizing quite a few people from around the globe to participate for World Hepatitis Day, to simply get out with some placards that I created and distributed globally, and some literature to raise awareness about hepatitis C, because at that time it was less known. It's certainly far less known than it is today. And that's, the improvements are as a result of work like our organization and individuals and organizations around the globe.
Amazing. That's awesome. So I guess moving on from that, tell us about what you're doing right now with BC Hepatitis Network and kind of beyond what you're doing with us.
Well, we have the helpline, so I'm active in that. That's an ongoing thing. But we have some other programs. A couple years ago, in 2019, early 2020, we did a pilot in 3 different sites in the province here in BC, where we were doing screening and linkage to care, and providing educational materials, etc. These were events, so they were one-day events, typically 3 or 4 hours long, and they were in communities where harm reduction services were being provided by our collaborator agency. And that was really amazing. We met a lot of new people, got some people tested, got some people linked to care that otherwise were not. We learned a lot. I mean, it was really quite an amazing experience. I like people and I like being around people and I like helping people. So for my part, it was really cool. Of course, COVID showed up just at the tail end of our third event, so we had to pretty much turn home, and we tried a couple events later in 2020, but unfortunately, due to COVID, we were stopped in our tracks with doing anything live. And then we pivoted on doing virtual point of care testing and training, which has been amazing. We've brought on board a number of different agencies, collaborators, organizations. We've been working with healthcare providers throughout the province. We're seeing more and more of these agencies and individuals reaching out to us to do the training, and it's inclusive of linkage to care. So we will only participate in programs where there is a clear pathway to care and treatment.
Awesome. And of course, if anyone is interested in setting up one of those training sessions, you can reach out to Daryl at Daryl, Daryl at bchep.org, and he would be happy to chat with you and sort out a training event or what's going to work for your organization. And that's one of those projects too that I've had a lot of fun working on and kind of problem solving with,
Oh
and
yeah.
just trying to figure out how we're going to make that pivot happen. And I think, as you've said before, that the pivot may have been actually more successful than the original plan, right? And that's really exciting when things aren't quite going right because of a pandemic or other reasons, and then you change course and things start going even better than you expected. So
Well, yes, it was very much a team effort, and Carrie and I worked very closely on that pivot and continue to as it expands the program. It's been really exciting. We're now having healthcare providers reach out to us. We've done training with nurses, some doctors, and yeah, it's been great.
who is eligible to participate in these trainings?
Well, we say anybody, but of course, not just anybody. And it really comes down to your capacity to do this work. One of the prerequisites is that you have a pretty healthy understanding of Hep C 101. We do provide some educational materials for that through our podcast and also through our guidebook, our peer guidebook. These are great educational tools that we can provide for you. Charting the map, we can provide in print form. If you go to our website, you can also access the electronic version. So yeah, absolutely. That's one very basic prerequisite. And to be situated with an organization, if you are a peer worker or a staffer working in an organization that does provide any sort of support, harm reduction, et cetera, for people who are at elevated risk for hepatitis C, by all means, reach out.
Cool. And certainly volunteers would be captured in that as well. If you're a volunteer with an organization, they're more than welcome to reach out and get trained for sure.
Absolutely. And once you're trained, you get a lovely certificate suitable for framing.
Perfect. So I think, it very interesting. Our next question, given the context of what we just talked about, what have been your greatest successes and challenges in the work?
I should say the challenges are pretty much the same now as they were 10, 15 years ago. One great success, and I see this time and time again, is of course the treatments have improved immensely. The fact that they're available here to everyone who is diagnosed. There are no restrictions on that, and there's no restriction on how many times you do treat. The treatment may change due to different protocols, but nonetheless, there's no ban on treating if a person is using substances. I mean, there have been some really weighty, massive changes that, I like to think that we played a big part in seeing that happen with our advocacy work, but others too. I mean, it certainly wasn't us alone. And yeah, the successes, I tell you, talking to someone who I started working with, a month ago or a year ago, and hearing how well they're doing once they've been tested and treated and are doing well. That for me is the real measure of success personally. Now, on a much bigger scale, obviously, it's all those other things. The biggest challenges I see are to do with health equity, and that includes housing. A long list of issues that affect the outcomes for people, long-term outcomes. It's the same old social determinants of health. A lot of that has not changed, and really it's been laid bare with the pandemic more than ever, perhaps.
Yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, everything has just become a whole lot more stark when you start looking at people's situations and the disparities that are involved. I think it's a lot clearer to see in the context of the pandemic who is, struggling more or getting left behind by policy for sure. So, looking towards the future, and hopefully that is a time where we have less concerns to do with COVID, so we can, get back out and do all the big things that we had planned. But what do you see for the future, whether that's, short term for the organization, for your work, or just long term in regard to Hep C in general?
Well, I think our commitment to elimination by 2030 of viral hepatitis is a key piece of it's aspirational, but it's achievable, and we certainly recognize that. I think others do as well. Making that a reality, and it's going to look different in different places with different people, of course, and remaining flexible and able to, as we did with the testing and linkage to care, to pivot. I mean, that's important. And if I've learned one big thing, it's that, not everybody's the same. People are different, and the struggles that people face in one community are not necessarily the same as they face in others, and being adaptable and really listening. I mean, and I think we can beat this thing. I think that, we can really make it just, something that nobody hears about much, and it's done. People are curable now, and in an amazingly easy way too. Yeah, this isn't your grandfather's treatment.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that and, the big picture about what BC Hepatitis Network is doing and what you're doing kind of individually. Do you have any final thoughts kind of in closing or to wrap up?
I would just encourage people that are at risk for living with hepatitis C, and you can certainly find out who that is, what population that is, on our website. But I would encourage you, if you fit into those categories, that you should consider getting tested. It's now part of the guidelines. The guidelines now for doctors is pretty broad, pretty much everybody. So, if you have any thoughts that you may have been exposed to hepatitis C at any time in your life, by all means, seek out testing, and whether that's within a community-based organization, or from a GP if you have one, or a clinic where you go for your health care, any one of those places, or you can contact us and we can certainly point you in the right direction. I mean, that's part of what we do. So yeah, in closing, get tested, get treated, get cured, have a great life.
Perfect. First of all, thank you for obviously joining us today and having this conversation and letting people get to know you a little bit more. And of course, too, I have to also say thank you for getting me involved in this work and letting me do the kinds of zany things I do and try to capture people's attention together and like you said, get them tested, treated, and cured. And that's what we're here for. And yeah, so if anyone wants to reach out to Daryl, you certainly can reach out to him at the helpline. And we're in a unique position where I can just basically tell people where they can call or text you. So you can reach out to Daryl at 1-888-411-7578. And you can do that by call or text, or, as we talked about before, reach out to him about booking a screening and linking to care event or training and learning more about what is on offer. Thanks, Daryl.
Thank you, Carrie, and thanks everyone. Take care.
Learn more about viral hepatitis and the BC Hepatitis Network by visiting bchep.org and contact us at podcasts@bchep.org. You can also find us on social media via the links in the show notes. For more episodes, visit bchep.org/podcasts or subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app.